Satnam, offering a bit of a discussion and a general reading. So take these concepts lightly, explore what resonates within. Let this be a starting point to your inward journey or to continue research on these topics. And then we'll take a look at the cards. So this idea of gifts and empathy, mediumship, and really feeling into the vibes of others is a gift. And ideally this gift is used for the greater good and not for power gain or to enable others. So is there toxic empathy? Have you become a doormat for others? And I've been there and still learning to set my own boundaries. And there's a difference between empowering others and enabling. What good are you doing when you enable someone else? Ideally, we want to empower others to take foot for themselves, to take that step on their own journey. And your gifts ideally can nudge them on that way rather than be a crutch in their journey. So you want to empower and help others. And no matter the relationship, ideally there's reciprocity. Doesn't matter if you're looking at the professional, personal, or romantic, it should be that Six of Pentacles. It should be, I'm seeing like Athena with her oh my goodness, words are coming out right now. Thank you, Mercury retrograde. Oh, they were on the tail end of that. But ideally, we are helping others, that we're opening the door for them to start their own journey, and we are not the doormat on their path. And if there is a cycle of toxic empathy, it might be time to roll back the hands of time and really look within. Is there toxic masculinity that's guiding that? Is there teasing? Is there trauma in your history, whether it is direct or indirect? And is there toxic communication patterns in the family where things are swept under the rug and we're hiding some of that trauma, and which everything is a mind fuck because nothing is on the up and up. And so what does that force you to do? To feel into the moment, to think ahead for others, and that is part of survival and protection. Well, let's wipe this slate clean and begin anew. Ideally, again, I think I already said this, empowering others and having balance and reciprocity in all relationships, in all manners in which you put your energy out, in all manners in which you give your gifts. There should be some return. And yes, there should be seva, where we give without reciprocity. Think in terms of conditional love versus unconditional love. That energy returns in some form, and that could be returning to you, and that reciprocity from spirit. But again, we don't want to be a doormat. We want to empower rather than enable, and that includes ourselves. And recently this term super empath came up, and I was like, what is that? And I feel like this is about using the gift of empathy as a superpower. And again, that switch being that point of enabling versus empower. And can you use your intuitive insights to empower yourself and to power others? And most importantly, set energetic, social, financial, emotional boundaries. And sometimes those boundaries are about, this is not up for discussion, or I'm uncomfortable with this. And there doesn't have to be an explanation in catering to others' insecurities for you to feel whole. Like your wholeness, your wellness matters over others, and that includes setting some boundaries. That might mean cutting some ties. That might include putting someone on the shelf, or blocking that call. Whatever you need to do for you to feel comfortable, you matter. And there's this sense of believing that you matter, believing that you're possible, believing that if you speak up, it's important. Can you love yourself enough to speak your piece, to stake claim to your boundaries, to draw that line in the sand? And if that means that you lose someone, you gain yourself. Why pour out when nothing is coming back? Overall, and what inspires me to speak to you is, how have your experiences taught you? What are you learning? What is the divine giving you through that experience? And when you continue to be a doormat, or when you empower yourself, and what happens on the other side of that empowerment? What happens on the other side of saying no? What happens on the other side of saying, I matter, I believe in myself? Something beautiful happens. And that might be in this place of unknown. That might be uncharted territory for you within and in the external. And are you willing to risk your comfort zone for your own truth, for your own happiness and well-being? And a quote for you: your calling will call you. Pick up. So what is calling? How is your soul calling for growth? And how do you know deep within yourself it's time for a change? And will you continue? I'm seeing like a wheel. It's almost like Flintstone. It's like I was kind of seeing like two things. Like Flintstone, that's kind of like, if you turn back the hands of time, you can see how archaic our current way of being. And if you are a red pill, or if you are paving the way for others, and you can see that from that picture above, if you can really trust the guidance of spirit, then you're willing to break the mold and make that change. I was also seeing like that same like archaic Fred Flintstone like wheel, but it was like broken. So like, do you need to like pull over from the rat race and change your tire? Maybe? Or upgrade for your own stability, and then you will notice what else comes through for you and how ridiculous the mold that we're all holding to is. And I say that with a kind heart. Sometimes I'd rather just hide in my comfort zone. Oh my goodness, your calling will call you. Pick up. How have your experiences taught you to grow, to love yourself? And in that point of loving yourself, can you fill your emotional cup to then shine light for others? And it isn't until that place that you have found deep within that you will shine light from that deeper place of your calling and find your belonging, because that belonging does not happen. I feel like it doesn't happen it's not in that people-pleasing mentality. And so catering to the perceptions of others only drives that spinning. It's like a rat on that, like the hamster on the wheel. Like you're just spinning your wheels and expelling your energy, and you're not getting anywhere, because your true purpose lies with your connection with the divine. It comes from a deeper place. It comes from within your heart and soul. And right now you could be encouraged to break ancestral patterns, to break social constructs, and show, hey, there's a new way of being and doing. Here we go, let's do this. And it comes from a place of love and compassion, not fight and defiance. Which I'm still learning. Sometimes I fuss with my guides and they give me something. Okay, so this is kind of split. So we're gonna look at where both of these decks split. That makes sense. Okay, so what came out is faith, having faith, and calling on having those conversations. This is the Angels of Atlantis deck. So calling up, like that bat phone, surrendering and having faith that you are being led. And the beautiful part of this, there were points looking back that I fought my guides, and had I listened, I wouldn't be in the mess that I was in, you know, even if it was like a speeding ticket or something. And then now I feel like practice, that you can develop practices to have faith and work with your guides to learn what is the best way to communicate, what is the best way to shine light, and what is the way that you can flow and surrender together. What is that thing that brings you into your flow? And fine-tuning that relationship with God, spirit, source, however you want to define it. And it's like almost like the sonar, like dolphin energy. and it goes without saying, and no one can take that from you. No one can take that from you. And it's really honing your own craft and having that faith, that divine connection. And notice how it's right near the hands. It's in your hands, and it's open to you. And feel what comes in when you open up wholeheartedly, not from a place of power and security, but true faith, heart, and trust. All right, so with our split of the deck here where that came out, they're saying, all right, just want to do this one first. Okay. Call on Archangel Raphael for clearing, cleansing. So clearing out what isn't yours, the residue. So, excuse me. If we think about dust, like you can't shine light, but after you dust, things sparkle, right? So you need to clean out the closet, the emotional closet. Call on Archangel Raphael to heal the inner child wounds, to show you how to transmute the energy of fear to love, to transmute the trauma to a lesson. You're saying gifts and gains, like you can gain from letting go. And what felt like trauma, what felt like pain is actually a gift to open you up. There are blessings there, but it's about transmuting and clearing the clutter to then reorganize the way that your brain works, because you were like, what was pushed down on you through your experiences, through your family lineage and the way they function, was a template for you to break the mold. And can you clean that out? And it's almost like seeping out of the box. I'm almost seeing like an octopus like pushing out, like an octopus in that movie. I don't know the name of it. It's a documentary on Netflix. And there's this point where they're like really connecting and the octopus gets spooked. So, oh, this is hard to talk about. In his attempt to connect, his weight fell and she got spooked and ran. Okay? So that is part of instinct. And if I were to use myself as an example, which Spirit seems to like to do, there are times when I get triggered and spooked, and I recognize that it's the past and it is not the present. And that kind of waffles me in this point of not being able to discern what is safe and what's not, because internally so much does not feel safe, and so I have to push through that resistance. Calling on Archangel Raphael to transmute that energy, as well as a regular practice, has helped that tremendously. And whether that is at night, just calling on him and saying, through the night, clear it, show me, transmute it, and then taking time to journal and practice in the morning. Another thing that has helped me is to work with the vagus nerve. I have noticed this tremendously. Like, I've had some, what would have been triggering events have not triggered me. I'm like, wow, I was not faced by that. How did that happen? And I feel like it's the work of the vagus nerve. I would pull the book for you, but I'm in the middle of like moving, so everything's packed up. So I'll have to like, as I go through that book some more and some of the practices, I'll have to make a video for you. So pay attention to what spooks you from the past and what is the here and now, the insights of here and now. There's a difference. And what spooked you in the past can help teach you of how to navigate forward. It's almost like, you're saying small game. I don't know what that means, small game. You might think of that past as like, as something that pulls you back, but you make a big win as you transmute that energy, and not to take that for granted, and it's your own path and own connection with source that is part of what is your calling. And it is this process that you create with the divine to bring love into the world, and that love has to start with you. And it's clearing out what's yours not to hold, like that 10 of Wands energy. Like, that's not yours. That wasn't your drama. That wasn't your trauma. That wasn't your pain. That wasn't your fault. And it was given to you to transmute as part of your calling, as painful as it may have been. And again, this is hard to talk about. And when you start to choose you and bring love to the situation rather than anger, inward blame, victimization, or even that self-sabotage, because instead of lashing out, you lash in from shame and guilt. How can you continue to transform and clear that out and find a new way to feel yourself out and trust the divine? What if the divine was setting you up for something wonderful, but you had to break free and clear out? It's almost like going to school. Like, you got to earn your degree. I'm sorry if that's painful for some to hear. Sometimes it feels painful to talk about it, because I don't feel like any of us deserved any trauma or abuse, assault or otherwise. But I like to feel like it's this bigger picture that was teaching us something, which brings us to the other card. Can you reach up to the library of teachings? Can you access your Akashic record? And again, when you're working in the 5D, when you're working with your angels and archangels, this is a unique relationship that you have. And yes, we could talk it out. Like, we can work through the signs and synchronicities. I could coach you through it. You can talk with another friend. But really, the way you translate your signs and synchronicities in this divine communication and this path in a spiritual realm on this higher plane is uniquely your own. And there are others that are paving the way with you that can help you to encourage you on your path. It's time to open the book. And, this is about rewriting the script and not continuing the cycle of trauma, abuse, neglect, victimization, being the doormat, and empowering yourself and really reading into what was destined for you and letting Spirit shine light on your gifts and shine light on your greatness and bring love into your heart. Look up Akashic Records. Look up libraries of teachings that serve you to then start to navigate your path that you are destined to. So, go ahead, go down the rabbit hole. I mean, you gotta do it safely. But there's going to be a way that you can access your records in a way that works for you to then continue on your journey. So the bottom of this card, it says divine intelligence. Like somewhere in there, but you have to get past the clutter of the past and really trusting really what we don't talk about. We don't talk about signs, synchronicities, and dreams, and there's very few of us that have those meaningful spiritual conversations. There are very few of us that have honest emotional conversations. So when you choose to get real, you're leading the path for others to do the same. Again, they want me to show you this. Experiences teach you. And while books can help you, I feel like, to me, when I do read a book, a lot of times it gives words to experiences I had or something I've gone through that I didn't understand. And it was like, oh, that was what was going on. there's a period of time when I was reading lots of books on disordered eating, and I was like, I didn't feel so alone on my journey, because I understood it in a new way, because what I was getting in the process of healing was a lot of backlash. And even now I still get it from family, that it's just like a lack of understanding on the level, like at the level that you're at, and having to expand your horizon with knowledge either up or what's recorded here in the physical in books or other records. Queen of Wands, Ace of Swords is what popped out. So there is clarity here for you. This feels like an Archangel Michael card who comes in and just like gives you what you need. And you can work with both Raphael and Michael to clear out that clutter. There is a fresh perspective here for you, and a new beginning in the way that you think about the world, the new way that you think about what was a hurdle, a new way in which you think about and communicate from above. Bottom deck energy, and this includes a cat, and this tells me intuition, being fierce, and with that communication, letting something blossom and trusting, using your tools and wisdom. Be that energy. Sit on your throne, define your personal practice, but sit in your energy and trust, so that no matter what comes at you, you know where you stand. You know what is your truth. Seeing is believing is coming to mind. I did another video on that, if that calls out to you. It's kind of that same, like, own your shit, like own who you are kind of energy. So those of you who are empaths, you have a strong BS meter, but the past experiences probably didn't honor your truth. In fact, they probably tried to push you back into a box. So that's part of what needs to be clear. And trusting that. There's water. So if there's some sort of cleansing ritual with water, and how do you see the truth? Scrying comes to mind sometimes with water. There's also fire in this card. So transmuting, Archangel Gabriel, I believe he works with that transformation. So if you were to write out the past, the trauma, and maybe your book, your words could hold meaning for someone else to then work through their own trauma, and you help pave the way for someone else to heal, or whether you write that letter and give it to God and burn it, like set it on fire to transmute the energy. All right, looking at the Firebirds playing card deck. This one's so pretty. I like the way she's sitting. It's not ladylike, right? We're supposed to cross our legs and sit ladylike. But like, just own who you are, whether society says or not. Okay, next bottom deck energy. That's really why they had me pull it up. Next bottom deck energy, and we're gonna stop there. Four of Cups, Spirit. If we look at the three, there's something to celebrate. There could be this awareness where you're like inspired, or there could be something that pulls you back. And this fourth cup, Spirit's trying to come in to say, hey, you got something to look at. Hey, you're right all along. These other people, they're fuckheads just messing with you, right? And they're trying to give you the clarity when you're so stuck on this other stuff that you can't see what's coming in. They want to give you something new. They want to give you your pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. They want to give you their happiness, but you have to let them step in and help you clean house, and you have to have the faith that they will do it, and trust that there's a bigger picture here. There is something more here for you to learn and perhaps share with others. fuckheads are fuckheads. That's not usually like a word I say. Yeah, that's not one of my words. Gotta laugh sometimes. Sometimes you just gotta laugh, because otherwise, and that's a good way to like shift the energy. You can laugh at it. Easier said than done. There was I'm gonna reshuffle because I just lost my thought. I thought about a meditation I had done and a reading I had done, and both came through with laughter. And there's something very beautiful about that. Something very beautiful. And so your experience of it might be different than others, and they might not understand that laughter. I'm trying to translate what just came through, and I guess I'm avoiding saying the truth, is that when I did I can't even say the word right, but there's a meditation when you do your yoga teacher training in the Kundalini yoga community where you actually like call in Yogi Bhajan, and what I got from him was laughter. What I got with this feeling, it's almost like Santa-like with the belly and just this hearty laugh. Yeah, my grandpa always laughed, and after I learned about his life, he was interviewed. I wouldn't have known the story had he not been interviewed by someone. I was so grateful to be there, but he always just laughed. He would always make these funny noises. It was funny. All right, so we got Ten of Wands, Jack of Hearts, and bottom deck energy is the Jack of Diamonds. So surrendering what you thought you knew, to have faith and to clean up, and allow yourself a new way of feeling. Oh my gosh, can I pick up this card? Feeling it out and learning to feel rather than think, and really starting to discern what comes in, what is your cup to drink from, when it's time to fill your cup, and when it is time to take a pause, or when someone is flipping something on you and it's not yours to take. So taking that time, and it will take time. It's a slow progress. Next bottom deck energy is to transmute the pain. 6, next one, we're going to pause there. That this is part of your past life, part of your destined, part of what you're working through, and it doesn't always feel fantastic, right? But step by step, day by day, work in the material realm with a practice. The Four of Cups to me calls for meditation. The Jack of Hearts says learn, like emotional intelligence. What are your emotions teaching you? There is a video somewhere in there. I think I have a green, what do they call that, thumbnail with emotions. And there's a book title in there if you want to explore that more. All in all, be open to new ways of thinking. Be open to new ways of thinking about yourself and about society. All right, let's close this out using the empowerment deck. I will have this on my website soon, I promise. I guess I'm waiting to have them all the decks in my book all together before I put that out, rather than just have a couple. Your calling will call you, pick up, and one card just flipped. Let's see. Trust the magic. Trust the magic. You are magic. And yes, you can have it all. Is there something inside that says not enough, not good enough, can't, blah, blah, blah? And there are people on your path that when you present an idea or you start to change, they want to pull you back down. But fuck that. You're fucking awesome. You are magic. and trust the way that you are working with the divine, this divine intelligence that's innately within you, and let those thoughts and insecurities of others, rather than come into your heart and soaking it in like a sponge, like most empaths do, let it be like water off a duck's back. Clear that out. It's not yours. Have faith and continue on your path. I do hope this served well. As always, take what resonates. You know best.